In this Auterion Academy video, we'll be looking at tracking rules. We'll cover how tracking rules work, identifying tracking rules, and we'll dig deeper into an example tracking rule. Okay, so how do tracking rules work? All your channels will be tagged during setup. This will allow your tracking rules to listen to your customer's activity, whether that's on your website, reading emails from you, using a app, or calling your customer service team. Every time a customer interacts with those channels, the tagging will generate information which is passed in a message to the tracking rule. The tracking rule records that data as a tracking event. These events are collected in what's called an event stream, and then finally all this data is passed into the Journey Analytics section, where you can filter and view data using Journey visualizations and dashboards. Identifying tracking rules. We use the existence of this public template called Track Location to identify a rule as being a tracking rule. The Track Location template takes the customer's location where they've interacted with your brand, and it creates a tracking event containing this information, which then flows directly into Journey Analytics. Finally, let's look at an example tracking rule. This is called the Track Web tracking rule. It's a public rule that you can save and adjust as you need. It's made up of several steps and brings data into the rule, including location and user data. It creates events, assigns categories and engagement scores to those events, and finally passes that data on for Journey Analytics. All tiles in this rule have been created from public templates that can be configured as you need. Most tracking rules start with a real-time input tile. This tile will have been previously set up to accept the data you need to flow into the rule. Data can include the channel, location, web URL, and time and date of a customer's interaction, plus customer data like whether they're known or new, and identifiers like email address. You can add any data you want to include from one of your systems like age band or customer profile. The data will then flow into the next tile, which is the Identify Email Click-Through tile. This is designed to be used with the Auterion Email Manager or other third-party email providers. It looks at the data to see if an email recipient landed on a page via a tracked link in an email. If you know what your customers did after they clicked on an email campaign, then you can see the effect your emails are having beyond click-through. The next tile is the Past Campaign Tracking Tags tile, which simply takes the value read out by the previous tile and adds it to the flow of the rule. Next we have Get CXID. This tile is ubiquitous and most rules need to have it. It does the all-important job of identifying a user. Its role is to get or assign Auterion's unique user identifier code, the Customer Experience ID. This is used to identify each individual. Commonly for tracking rules, it's a web cookie identifier, or following login this could be website user details such as email address or customer number. These are much more accurate identifiers of the individual, and we recommend you use them if you can. The Get CXID tile will compare the IDs passed in with any identifier data that's already been stored from previous visits. It will then decide if this user has previously been identified. If it has, it will be assigned the same CXID as previously. If the identifier provided has never been seen before, the visitor will be assigned a new CXID. By now the rule knows who the customers are, if they came via email click-through, and the locations where they interacted with your brand. To give this information more context, the rule will add in some category information, like the section of a website that they were in, plus engagement weighting. That's how much you care about what they're doing. This starts with the category lookup tile. This tile takes the location data and looks it up somewhere else, a separate category management rule to be precise. This extra data can be added in. It might be something like a category associated with the web page the customer has visited. For example, all pages relating to credit cards for a finance website. The next tile is called Update Category Count, and this stores category interactions against a given customer. Based on activity of the customer, they will be assigned an engagement score. This will reflect the value of the activities that they have been participating in. For example, when a customer places an order, this will generate a higher engagement score than when reading a returns policy. You set the engagement scores so that they are relevant to your business. The Update Engagement Score tile will increment the existing engagement score for the user, either up or down. The next tile is the Track Location tile, which we discussed earlier. This identifies the rule as being a tracking rule. The final tile is Right to Log, and this takes all the fields and data that flow into it and creates a log file. These logs can help you identify issues with the rule or the data within it. So that's it for a track web rule. That's it on tracking rules for now. Thanks very much.